Today's guest on the Travel Punks podcast, my friend Marissa Mattys, stand-up comedian, professional masseuse, and psychedelics enthusiast. We discuss dealing with creeps at the World Series of Poker, the challenges of being a liberal in Trump's America, her work at an ayahuasca clinic in Peru, and accidentally ordering an erotic massage not once, but twice in Kathmandu. See her 1-hour special at marissamattis.com. That's Marissa with 2 S's, Mattys with 2 T's and a YS.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Marissa Mattys. We probably talked too much about Trump, so let's talk about something nice.
I was kind of hanging out in Argentina and a little bit in Chile, hanging out, but I don't know, whatever.
Like you do.
As you do. I don't know. And somebody had given me acid one time in Bariloche, and I was like, I want to go back, see if I can score. So I went back, and then I ended up staying for a month and like working at that little cafe, sort of, and mostly just like eating chocolate and putting on weight and whatever. Which is, edit that out. Don't talk about weight. That's so boring. Don't do that. It doesn't matter. But I was there, and then by chance I met this guy, and he was a Mexican national, but had grown up mostly in Rhode Island and Scotland because he was like a diplomat's grandson or diplomat's son or something like that. Ended up discovering ayahuasca, post all these near-death experiences, like had all these kind of crazy things happen to him. Ended up being able to create this Ayahuasca Healing Center. And I had been studying psychedelic medicines, like just mostly reading a lot of the academic papers about therapeutic uses thereof. And so I met him in a cafe, and he's like, oh, I have this healing center in Peru. And I was like,
Who doesn't?
Do you use medicine? And he was like,
yeah.
Plant medicine? And I was like ayahuasca? And he was like, oh, you know ayahuasca? And I'm like, well, I've never done it, so I don't really know it. But I do, I've read about it, and I'm very curious about it. And at one point in my life, I thought I was going to like hole up in the Amazon with a shaman and like study plant medicine. So
there's still time.
Yeah, I was like, well, yeah. But what this experience led me to was like a whole bunch of conclusions about drugs in general, but that wasn't my path.
Drugs weren't your path?
I still believe in drugs in a lot of ways, but like that's a packed statement, and I should be careful, but I'm reckless.
What drugs do I need to do?
I mean, I'm not a doctor. We'll say that. Not a doctor. But
thank you for that.
You're like, I know. I've known you a long time. You never went to med school.
Yeah. I feel like I would have heard about this.
Yeah, like somewhere in between, like crashing motorcycles in the Peruvian Amazon, I like got my MD.
Right.
Which was crazy. No, it didn't happen. Yeah, I don't know. Have you done a lot of MDMA?
No, not much.
Okay. I feel like I just had a conversation over lunch about that. That I was like, you know what? It's a rough day after, or for me, it's exactly a week after. The come down is very, very hard. For me, a week later, I'm like, well, and it's harder because I've forgotten I've done the drugs by the time a week later hits. And I'm just like, God, why is this the saddest day ever? And then I'm like, oh, well, it's because you took the thing that makes your brain feel weird and good for like a day or two. And then, anyway. But I feel like, gosh, I had a professor once explain it as, like, such a good heart chakra opener. Not a heart
chakra opener.
No. Gross. Ew. A very good heart chakra opener. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And it's just a nice window to connectivity, and, like, it's cuddly and nice.
MDMA, what's it made of? That I never knew.
MDMA, oh my gosh, you're methyl no, that's wrong.
This doesn't sound good.
But it's Molly, it's ecstasy, but it's like the nice pure form.
Oh, well, if it's Molly.
I know, she sounds so cute.
Right?
Yeah.
I was, when I stayed at a guest house in Rio, I ran into 2 British guys, and they asked me what the popular drugs were in the U.S., and I was like, oh, well, Molly's popular. And they're like, Molly? And then they look at each other in unison, they say, Mandy.
Oh!
Apparently they call it Mandy in the U.K. across the pond. And They're like, well, it makes more sense because MDMA, I'm like, that would be Mamdy.
Mamdy.
So, you're close, but
Just
I think
some
we're still...
poor girl's drunk boyfriend trying to say her
Well,
name.
the unsinkable Molly Brown was actually Margaret Brown or some shit, so...
But I think Molly
don't know if anyone gets the
an abbreviation
out of the womb
Margaret,
name Molly.
right?
It depends.
I think both happen.
Yeah.
I think both, yeah. I don't know. I'm a big fan of that.
So what's the deal with ayahuasca healing?
Well, in the literature, it's described as... it's a major alkaloid. So it's kind of like the grandmother of psychedelic medicines. It's a very, very potent psychedelic. The grandfather being iboga, which is out of Africa, Gabon mostly. Usually an extract of the second layer of root bark on this iboga plant. But ayahuasca is actually, so it's DMT based, but ayahuasca actually doesn't even have DMT in it. Dimethyltryptamine, I do know those letters. But lots of things have DMT in them naturally. So you actually are looking for another plant. Like the center we were using, Churisananga, that particular night, I only drank one time because it wasn't my place to be there, it turned out. So I could cross it off the list or whatever. But that's another part of another really long story. But Churisananga has a DMT in it. Your body actually makes DMT. It's endemic to the body. So you only produce it in very particular scenarios, though. So when you're born, if your mother gives birth vaginally without too many painkillers and sedatives and stuff. But childbirth, or birth, death, near death, very high stress experiences in certain meditative states.
So wait, the mother produces DMT or the baby or both?
The baby ends up, so the stress hormones trigger the production of DMT.
In who?
The baby.
Okay.
I don't know why it doesn't hit the mother's bloodstream, but it doesn't, because...
Well, I would half expect it to be both because they're linked,
blood.
but yeah.
But yeah, no. Because otherwise we'd hear about a whole bunch of moms tripping face while they give birth naturally, because lots of people still do. But they don't, and I can't remember why. But as soon as the DMT hits your bloodstream, so the stress hormone triggers the production of the DMT. As soon as that hits your bloodstream, your body starts producing an enzyme to break down the DMT, so to make it so that you're not tripping so hard. Mm-hmm. What ayahuasca does, that plant actually inhibits the production of that enzyme that breaks down DMT.
Trixie.
So if you were smoking DMT, that's why they describe a smoking DMT trip as very brief. In time and space and in your reality, when you've taken that hit, it could be like just a timeless arena and blah, blah, blah. But you're actually only high for like 5 to maybe 20 minutes, sorta. Because your body, as soon as it hits your bloodstream, will break it down. Versus taking DMT with something that inhibits that, which is why ayahuasca is called what it is. Like, that's the thing that makes the DMT work. So you're high for many hours, usually. And kind of wonky for a day or two, because it messes with your sleep and stuff like that, too. But it's a major alkaloid, so it alkalizes your entire body. So whenever you do that, that's...
What does that mean?
It has to do with, like... base versus now you're just getting, like, I'm not a PhD. I haven't studied this stuff in a while. It's like not been in my life for a huge amount of time, but like we're talking about like I'm turning silly. I can't remember.
Shouldn't have taken that much acid before we started.
And then like this
podcast.
is wine in it, guys. So
yeah.
No, but you're talking about kind of the chemistry of your body and alkalinity versus acidity. And so, the common theory, I don't know, again, I haven't read about it in a long time, but the theory is that like, most of us are too acidic because we have a lot of sugar or caffeine or alcohol, blah, blah, blah.
Political tweets.
Stress. Yeah, stress, exactly.
Low news diet, yo.
Yeah.
Do you read a lot of news?
I listen to the news almost every day, like at least headlines kind of thing. But it's like NPR headlines. So it's a little whitewashed, I'm sure, but... whatever. Just to know what's going on, because it used to feel really heavy to me to be listening to the news and just being the little empath that I am. It was just so intense for me to know a lot of that stuff. But then I got to where it wasn't heavy anymore and it actually made it feel lighter because I was like, oh, this little empath, little little psychic thing that I have going on, then I'm like, that's so intense. But if I have a reason for it, it makes it easier. Then I'm like, if I'm sensing that suffering.
I guess I'm hoping that if the suffering gets massive enough that it merits
Xanax?
more of my that it merits more of my attention, it'll break through my low news diet where it's like, hey motherfucker,
like if it's
have you heard
serious,
about this thing that we all
to
have to be on the streets on right now? Which at that point it's like you're setting a threshold of what am I going to care about?
Does that sound like a boundary? That sounds healthy.
Well, thanks for taking it in the most positive way possible, but...
or denial. Maybe it's boundary, maybe it's denial. I don't know.
Maybe there's no difference. But...
maybe just because... I think there's something to be said for no thanks.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also kind of a privileged thing where we can be like, we can afford to be like, no thanks. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about the fact that I have this privilege over people who are actually living there and living it. And, you know, I can be blasé about... you know, a dip in the economy when other people are, you know, struggling to make ends meet and losing jobs and losing health insurance and shit like that. So I really don't know what to say about that other than those people, what can they do about it? Other than vote. And even then, I hate to say this, but I'm a little in despair about voting.
Yeah, a lot of us are. And that's, I think there are certain things to kind of make us or make certain populations feel despair so they're less powerful. Yeah. How are we doing?
We're good.
Cool.
Do you have a phone with a clock on it handy?
No. I left it in the bag so it wouldn't go off. Sorry.
That's okay.
Did your watch die?
I don't know. I don't even know if it's alive.
Oh.
I don't know how to tell time. Hold on.
We can fix that real quick.
Yeah, can you go check the time for me? I might actually be late.
Oh, shit. Hang on. I don't feel like we are. Hang on.
No, wait. Leave that on and let's do this like we're going to wrap it up because this wouldn't be a terrible time to wrap it up, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on. We'll pause and...
yeah, I don't think... We're going to have to circle back around to
just
your
about
time
everything.
in Nepal, but...
yeah. That was a French neuroscientist that I made attend with me.
Fuck, I mean...
Does that oven clock? Is that right?
It might be right, but it might be an hour removed. In fact, actually, I think that I didn't adjust my watch for daylight savings, so I think we're fine.
Okay.
I think we're fine.
Okay.
Because I'm supposed to be somewhere at 5, but... Yeah. Well, now I'm getting anxious about it. You ever felt like you need to know if you need to be somewhere?
Definitely. We can just...
Let's take a quick break.
It's very easy, yeah.
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Cool.
But I'm not going to stop the thing, so let's, make it a real quick break.
Got it. Ooh. Am I standing too? Do I need to?
You don't have to, but, tell me where your phone is.
It's in the purse. In the Vanity Fair thing.
So I should rifle through your purse?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
It's recorded. It's on many microphones. Just do it.
Yeah, we got 45 minutes. We're in fine shape. It's that daylight savings. I didn't reset my watch. It's the dirty secret. I really just wear the watch to look cool. I never look at it.
Because you don't know how?
I might have forgotten how to tell time. Hold on, I'll reset it here. Because I was looking at it and being like, how do you tell time again? Is that 4:15 or 5:15? Don't even know which direction to turn it.
Well, I'm glad we took a break because I have the tiniest tank in the world and it was getting urgent and I didn't even notice it because I was so engaged in this conversation.
Have you ever had to piss in the middle of a show? Only every time?
It's only an hour. The longest I've ever done is an hour and a half. So no. And then the other ones are I'm hosting film screenings.
Right.
And they're usually a bunch of shorts and I know exactly when I'm like, that's a 3-minute one. Don't go during that one. Excuse me.
We were talking a little bit about ayahuasca and I was thoroughly failing to understand because alkaline base, anything heavily enough alkaline is going to produce
and some people say
a trip.
No. Basically, when you alkalize the body, and some people say this is bullshit, but when you alkalize the body, a whole bunch of things are set back into balance. So, You can treat a lot of weird, like, digestive disorders that way. Some fertility things I've heard, some very, like, cardiac tissues, pulmonary tissues, like, everything is sort of affected by that acidity versus alkalinity thing. Again, some people say it's bullshit, but that's how it's been described to me by people that are administering to other people. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the psychological realm, ayahuasca is used a lot for PTSD. It's used a lot for depression, anxiety, that kind of thing.
Where?
Oh, like where do they administer?
Geographically. Not like where, like shot in the ass or like smoking, but where geographically? Like
in terms of the like shamanic history of it and stuff like that. I think it's most heavily used in South America, a lot in Peru, and Peruvian law allows for it quite well. There's some in Brazil as well, but I think the best documented shamanic use of it is in South America. But because DMT exists...
It might have been in the Wes Craven movie. At the beginning of Serpent and the Rainbow, I think they do an ayahuasca ceremony.
Oh, I'm sure they did. With a film... I don't even know what you're talking about, but a film title like that, they definitely did.
That really? Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like a thing. It sounds like the title of the Carlos Castaneda novel, but...
Maybe. I don't know, but I think that Serpent and the Rainbow is not a better movie than Nightmare on Elm Street, but is much scarier, and it does dreams much better. And part of it just starts right with the ayahuasca ceremony that Bill Pullman's character does at the beginning of the movie, and it starts out like crazy scary. It's so scary.
Is everybody like puking?
Scary. No one's puking.
It's also an emetic, so it almost kind of an emetic.
Well, maybe they didn't want to film that part.
It's gross. It's not a party.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. You don't ever. That's why you don't hear about people doing like ayahuasca at a party, because it does make you kind of your bowels kind of go. You purge a lot, and they call it the purge, la purga.
Sounds charming.
Yeah, I'm just like, ooh, we do this with other people, and I was doing it with like the guy who hired me, his ex-father-in-law or something. And then...
See, at that point, it's got to be like, there must be medical benefits, because why the fuck would you do it otherwise?
Exactly.
It's not like you're doing it to have a thing in a party. It's just to confirm it's like a Schedule 1 narcotic in the United States. Am I right?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. But there have been... It's opened up a little bit. Like, there was Richard Straussman. Richard Straussman wrote... I think it's called The Spirit Molecule. It's like the Bible for people that study DMT, because he kind of told a story of how he got research opened up in the 90s because it was so illegal. Class 1 or Schedule 1 refers to drugs that have no medical benefit. And so that's why psychedelics are so illegal, is they're classed as like, well, you can't even really fudge this, and not even for research. And so he went through many, many years of getting that to change so that he could open up that research a little bit more. And I'm not really in this world anymore. Like, I don't do that research, or like I'm not reading about it all the time, for a lot of different reasons. But he got it opened back up a little bit. And so there are places, like I heard today, there's a ketamine clinic here in Austin. So you can go and for very severe depression that is so persistent that nothing else has really worked. It can be kind of a life changer for a lot of people. And eventually, like, take it every 3 weeks, and sometimes some people are just better after that. It heals their brain, and that's classed as a psychedelic as well. But that research opened up in really significant ways. So where I was like, oh, I didn't even know that they had a clinic where, like, there's a psychiatrist writing that script, and there's a therapist in the room. Like, it's a very above board, like, not underground operation. Mm-hmm. Yeah.